Was there a time or a moment in time when you recognized that your faith was your own, or that you were developing your own faith and that you weren't simply repeating what you'd heard?
Yes, absolutely. So when I was a high school student, I would have described myself as a non-practicing Christian. So I would have said that I believed the Christian faith was true, but it was not something that I was in any way participating in personally. When I went to college, I read the New Testament, and that's like a big part of my faith journey, and found it really surprising in a lot of ways. And by that point, I had developed, during adolescence, a really rather strong distaste for the church of my upbringing without having any point of reference to compare it to, or any vocabulary or theological knowledge to make sense of my discomfort with my church that I'd grown up in. But when I was around 18, 19, that was when I was beginning to not just ignore, but really properly deconstruct and reconstruct bits and pieces of my faith. And I think that continues. I'm still putting my faith together. I mean, it's not like, and this is when I was done, I think, people think I'm joking when I say this. I did all this academic work in theology. I really feel as though I had a good grasp of the Christian faith when I was done with my PhD, which speaks to either the slowness of my learning or or just how much time God takes with us, So, a bit of both.
So you said in high school that you had come to believe that the Christian faith was true, but you weren't practicing. Has there ever in your life been a season of doubt that you've had about God or God's existence?
Yes and no. So I have enough of a philosophical education that I know that when I say the word God, I'm referring to something really, I'll say it differently. I mean by God a lot of things, and I don't mean a lot of things. So I don't mean man in the sky with a beard, flying spaghetti monster. Like, I think a lot of when people say that they don't believe in God, a lot of what they're denying are things that I would also deny exist. So there's that. So I've never had a real season of doubt in the existence of God. I think my times of, I've had moments of like emotional crisis where I'm like, does this mean anything? And then also the further I've gone into my faith, what I've experienced is that doubt and faith crisis is a part of the journey of faith. So for me, take for example the problem of evil and suffering. For a lot of people, the fact that there's suffering in the world is good cause to believe that there is no God. That being said, if there was no God, all the suffering and evil in the world would just be random, and it wouldn't really be evil. It would just be inconvenient or not our preference. So the fact that we're able to call something evil presupposes this transcendent good, which we would call God. And so for me, the problem of suffering, the problem of evil is something that occurs within faith. So there's all these theological problems, evil, the divisions of the church, why has God chosen to have this particular creation? Animal suffering is a problem for me. Like, why? Like, human beings might benefit from our suffering. We can learn from it or grow, but like animals don't. But they suffer. And that's a part of God's good creation. There's something tragic about the world that God has made. But all that occurs for me within the context of faith. So not as like an alternative to faith, but as a problem within it.
It's in the faith.
Yeah.
That's good. So you said